Well, Joe, it was an incredible moment in my career for sure. Very surreal. And you talked about, how you're just an average kid. Well, I went from being an average kid to a celebrity overnight, and that's the sort of spotlight that comes for being a homegrown kid in Toronto, being drafted by the Toronto Maple Leafs. Um, I had a lot of expectations going into the draft. I was really highly touted, very highly ranked, and the process leading up to it, you meet with certain teams and you have an idea of where you're going to go. And I was ranked 13th overall, and kind of looked at the teams around there and the teams that I met with, and they kind of connected. The one team that I met with the most, where you thought that there was going to be the better chance of you getting drafted, was at the time the Phoenix Coyotes. I had just about a handful of interviews with them even the night before, and that's the spot where I thought I was going to go because they were picking 13th. And so you go to sleep that night. It was in Florida that year, and I had about 30 of my friends and families, along with me in Florida. So it was kind of a family trip. And I remember that night I couldn't sleep just because, you're trying to fast forward the clock and envision what the next day is going to hold, and trying to think about what jersey you're going to put on, how you're going to act, how you're going to react to your name being called, or the moment of you being put on TV that you've watched up until that time that it becomes yours. So I wake up the next morning, I get dressed, I put my suit on, I start walking to the bus, and I'm there with my agent and the other players that he represents. And I think there was a group of 10 of us, and I was the highest ranked guy there. So I remember talking to my agent that morning. It was very light, asking me how I'm feeling and stuff. And it never really hit me till I got onto the bus, because the bus was like, okay, I'm going over the rink in an hour's time. This is going to be go time. So I'm in my suit. I'm in the back of the bus, and I can't really, function or talk or anything. I'm just sweating. So we get into the rink. I get a pass handed to me with my seat assignment, and I have to be sitting in a certain seat. So my family goes over to the section. I sit in my seat. The draft starts. And as the draft starts, you kind of know who the first five guys are going to be. And after that, it's a crapshoot, right? So me and my brother are great observers. My twin brother, sitting be right beside me, and we kind of got an idea, just because the people are sitting in the stands and you're following the camera on the floor, because for TV purposes they need to know where the guy's being drafted. So we get past the first 10 picks, and all of a sudden at number 11, there's big Gary Bettman comes up and says, I have a trade to announce. Well, Phoenix trades up to 11, and trade spots with Calgary. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, this could be me. You know what I mean? Maybe they're trading for me. Well, the guy they ended up drafting was sitting on the other side of the stadium, and I could see the camera with him. So me and my brother sort of triggered in. Okay, when the camera comes near our section, it's our time. Well, at 13, the camera comes into my section, and it looks like it's pointing right up at me. And it's Calgary, and I'm like, starting to get all nervous and stuff like that. And ultimately, they announced the guy sitting right in front of me. So right away, me and my brother say to ourselves, okay, the next time the camera comes here, it's you. Lo and behold, 14, 15, 16, 17, the Maple Leafs come up. And the guy sitting at 16 was on the other side. So me and my brother are watching the camera guys. And you can see they look at their list. And they're like, okay, we got to go over to the other section. They start running across. And when they stop, they literally stop right in front of our section. And the camera points right up at me. And I'll never forget, my brother starts nudging me, starts punching me. He's like, oh my God, Car, it's you. They're going to pick you. And I'm like, shut up, man. I'm nervous. I'm freaking out right now. Relax. I can't believe this. All of a sudden, a couple of seconds later, Mike Penny steps up to the podium and says, Toronto Maple Leafs are proud to select from the Erie Otters, and they announce my name. And all of a sudden, like, you could tell how many people I had, because literally with 30 people, they could have, blew the roof off of the stadium. That's how loud they were. And I really couldn't process everything. I mean, you got everybody there, you're shaking hands, you're saying high five, you're hugging your parents, you're hugging your brothers. Next thing you know, I'm walking down to the floor. And at the floor there's the guy from the Leafs waiting for me. He's walking me to the stage, and he's congratulating me, and I can't even like process everything because I just got drafted by the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I walk up to the stage and I start meeting everybody, shaking everybody's hands, and lo and behold, I get the jersey handed to me. I open it, I look at the back, it's got my name on it. And as soon as I got my name on it, I pointed it towards my section. And it was like I scored an NHL goal because people were going nuts. So put the jersey on, and then it just becomes surreal. It's like, oh my God, this is really happening. Can't believe it happened. But, it's still not processing to me that I'm a Toronto kid. I just got drafted to the Maple Leafs in the first round of the NHL draft. I don't even know what Toronto's going like right now. I just know what the stadium and my family is, the way they're reacting. So I walk off the stage, I go to the table, I start meeting everybody. And lo and behold, the team that was picking next was the LA Kings. And the LA Kings was another team that I thought I was going to go to because I had a lot of really productive talks with them. So as I'm making my rounds through the table, I walk by the head LA scout. He gets my attention. He goes, "Hey," opens up the jersey. It had my name on it.
Wow.
If the Maple Leafs didn't draft me, I would have been the next pick of the LA Kings. So it happens. It goes through, and I get selected by the Maple Leafs. We have a big celebration that night with my family. We spend a couple days in Florida afterwards. Actually, we go back to the draft the next day because we're hoping for my brother to get drafted. And one of the worst decisions I've ever seen the Maple Leafs make, besides trading me, was in the 5th round. They drafted the other goalie on my brother's team.
Mm-hmm.
And, you still start to process that. And it's like, why would you draft the other goalie and not draft the brother? Think about the better story you could have created. You drafted twin brothers. You know what I mean? And the following summers after that, my brother would always come out in the summertime and be the practice goalie.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say that.
I remember seeing that in the highlights.
He could have been part of their prospects. Anyways, it is what it is. But where things really started to change in my life for sure, and I talked about how I went from just an average kid to being a celebrity overnight. I came home from Florida and my face and name was plastered everywhere in the city.
Yep.
You were on the cover of the Sun.
Huh?
You were on the cover of the Sun.
Yeah, cover of the Sun, cover of the Star.
Mm-hmm.
Back then when we had voicemail messages, my parents' voicemail messages were flooded with requests, radio requests, interview requests. People reaching out and congratulating. It's just like, holy cow, like what's happening? Like I just want to play hockey. Well, lo and behold, playing hockey in this city is much bigger than people probably realize, because you're the center of attention. And ultimately that set up the rest of my career. I mean,